Hey, everybody. This is the Chris, George, and Lance show. Um, Chris, the 9 Don, is going to be playing against CrazyStone 3 Don, which is pretty easy for him. And if I don't understand something, I'll be asking questions, and hopefully those are the kinds of questions you would ask. Okay, I think we're all caught up. I'm going to transfer CrazyStone's moves to this board so that we can look at variations and stuff like that. Okay, Chris.
All right, so I'll just keep it simple and play a star point in the top right corner. Okay, I'll match it in the bottom right corner. We'll attach at R5, take territory. It's kind of my style. This is usually can't be bad move, so I like to get points
Assume
early.
your move here.
Yeah.
Third or fourth line?
Third line. Yeah, third line. We just want to settle the position. I don't want to put stones on the bottom, so.
Oh, okay. Great. Let's pause it. You're saying you'd prefer not to do that because black already has a stone there. What's this about not wanting to put stones there? What does that mean?
So like this is playable. Black takes a base, and then but after this, white kind of gets the feeling white really wants to play f3. But even if white gets to f3, there's still a weakness at m3. So it's really hard for white to play on the bottom already in a way that's going to be super efficient. White needs to spend a lot more moves here. If I play O3 instead of O4, then the bottom is finished for white. It becomes very uninteresting, and I never have to spend moves there again.
Okay, just a second. So you're saying it's looking like white wants to develop the bottom. However, if he tries this, nothing but gaps. Okay, that's not going to work. If he tries a basic settle, it's not going to be particularly interesting or fruitful on the bottom. Am I saying it right?
Yep.
Okay. Now, if we switch colors, top becomes black, bottom becomes white. Now you're saying much better.
Yes.
Okay, we do want to build the bottom, therefore O4 does make sense. Okay, good. Oh, I figured it out.
And
okay,
one more thing, is P4 also a possibility instead of O4 for white?
Yes, but usually you see P4 when white has something very thick in the bottom left corner, and you're trying to play away from thickness and have a stronger attack on Q6.
Okay, sure.
Other than that, it's worth less territorially than the O3 move. So without the right thickness condition, it's a bit strange. I could show an example, maybe.
Just a second. I have to finish what I'm doing. I hate not finishing what I'm doing in just a second. So if white has a thick position here, then you're saying, now I'm going to hand you control, unless this is a perfect example, which I doubt.
Yeah, this is fine. This is exactly what I was going to put on the board. Yeah, now this move makes a lot of sense. It's a really far extension from our wall, and it's also putting the most pressure on 3 stones, so if black ignores it, let's just have, well, I guess in this case, I could just attack directly anyway, but now when white takes the base, something like this or something like this, black is very severely attacked. It's very cramped. So black really would prefer to not have to run this way. And if black does run this way, white is not at all unhappy about this. As the fight continues, we can lean with like A or B later. We can get more influence at C. We have attacks from D. We could take the bottom with E. There's many different ways white can do.
You just say that like it's nothing. Okay.
So could we say that the P4 is kind of directed towards attacking the 3 stones, whereas O4 is more of a developmental move on the bottom?
Right.
Yeah.
But specifically, A tends to be better. Like both of them can attack the 3 stones. A tends to be better if we're expecting to get a severe attack or we want better chances actually on the bottom side because we're thick in the bottom left. Like the bottom left corner makes a big difference with A.
Okay. Now, one thing I heard that I want to repeat is A is the furthest extension from your wall. It's kind of like the greatest potential and the greatest attack. So if you're in a position to do that, A makes sense.
Yep.
Very cool. Okay, but since we can't develop there, third line sure makes sense. Oops.
Okay, so the low one is pretty interesting. Actually, you don't at a higher level you don't really see this one as much. At least on Fox 8-9 Don, almost everybody plays exclusively the fourth line move. It's better for center control in the middle game. Whereas this one is, if you're playing inside an opponent's strong area and getting out to the center is not going to be easy, this one's usually better. But that's not really the condition on this board. So the way that I understand like this move these days is you either play like Q10 at a high level or you just play O17. Most of the time you won't see R10 is a little bit slow. I'll play C15.
Oh, black A.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I would certainly play fourth line. I had hard time keeping up with all the reasons, but they made enough sense. Would you say you're going to play?
I'm going to approach the top left with C15. I'll just take a base, 2 space. And here just being nice and solid. Oh, the kick, interesting. So I have a couple choices here. The first thing I think everyone's knee-jerk reaction is to stand, but on this board, standing might not really be that attractive. It doesn't do much except get me attacked again. Let's see. I'm gonna Hane at B16.
And presumably the other 2 space would be fine here at C9.
That's coming next after the Hane. The Hane is a bit of a probe first.
Okay. So, what I heard you say was this so far isn't hurting black corner. I mean, there's 2 cuts, but they don't work right now, and I'm just going to get hit again.
Yep.
So what's so great about this for white? But if I follow this pattern, I have a very stable group that is not going to get bothered. Very nice.
And there's probably not.
This knee jerk. It's just I kicked Jujo once like this in the corner. He played away. I couldn't believe it. You can't play away. It's not a legal move. You must respond. So no, not respond.
Yeah.
I guess there's no reason here not to Hane before the 2 space, right? You might as well always
the Hane is usually the Hane is a bit of a probe here. So when you make this Hane, George, the idea is you want to see if black is going to block the corner or block the center. Yeah, so if black blocks from the center, white will usually extend one more time, but it does give white the option for ko. Now, if black plays B17, the position's a lot more stable. White can take a farther base or even Tanuki from that point. But yeah, it's an interesting probe. You want to see which way black's going to go. And if black blocks the corner, then later white can extend up and it becomes a stronger move.
Interesting.
And in here, right?
Yeah.
I think this little sequence can be extremely meaningful to 1 Don, 3 Don players. Black kicks, like you said, it's so knee-jerk to come up. But so, well, what did you accomplish? Oh, I'm trying to get a stable group. It's so small. And this exchange, man, you are healthy, big time. Yeah. That's nice.
The other benefit of the Hane, George, is that in some cases, if we just do the 2 space jump directly without the Hane, black may continue attacking in the future with B15. which is good profit move for black in the corner. White usually can't respond by playing Hane here. White would normally have to play away again or extend. But if we have the Hane exchange in place, then when we answer this b15 move in the game, it's a cut, and our answer is Atari.
Sure.
So we have a way to block this move in Sente.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay. So. Boom, boom, boom.
You might hear my dog in the
Okay.
background. I apologize for that. We have delivery people coming to deliver boxes
Uh-huh.
for my parents to move. So if she does bark, I'll have to settle her down for a second.
Sure.
And,
So in my mind, I'm trying to picture the lower dawn mind.
mhm.
So if we just look at that game, it's like I would still call it equal,
Mhm.
but it kind of feels like we're being pushed around. And you're
Yeah.
saying, well, how about you just don't get pushed around? Is it still equal? There's a feeling that white just gained something.
Mhm.
And so that difference, okay.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to attack me anyway. That's cute. This sort of been a case where if I was black, my first priority would be to go in the upper right corner. So as white, I'm going to go in the upper right corner and then close at 017. The group on the left, as it stands, can't really be attacked or bothered.
Right.
That group is going to live, but it does have positional weaknesses later from the center. There's many ways black can lean against it.
Right. Later on, lots of things can happen. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's something that I'm very much aware of. Even at this state of the game, it's going to change how white plays on the rest of the board, because I have to keep in mind there's an invisible wall on the left for black.
Yeah. Now that's a difference between a stronger player and a regular lower dawn player. Is you're seeing some invisible stones here that he's not seen yet.
Mhm.
So being able to see invisible stones, yeah, what's that look like? You know, and you're seeing patterns, and he's like, "Oh, I'm fine." So that's a lot of difference.
Yeah, I think it's where a lot of people get in trouble, is that they forget that by playing such a defensive way on the right, you are sort of um, yielding to black that black will get these benefits later. Mostly because it's not ever really worth it for white to take them away with something like E12. That move is very slow. So we all, like, once you know that black can get a wall there, you see a position like this, you always know, okay, that's going to be his right, unless something on the board elsewhere changes to remove that. I have to expect that he'll do that whenever he wants, and I have to accept it, which is okay because we gained something, right? So that's
Right.
the take for our give. So it's been a very closed game so far. There's not been a lot of there's not really been a lot of invitations to fight yet. So I'm going to offer the first one and play F3. Now, before I mentioned I didn't really want to play on the bottom, and F3 might look to a lot of players like white's trying to build the bottom. I'll be the first person to tell you I don't care about the bottom at all, one way or another. I'm playing F3 to ask a question about C5, B5 area for black.
Uh-huh. And tell me about this move. I'm giving you control because this is the first move that crossed my mind. I want the corner. I don't want the bottom. So take the corner.
So it's fine. You could take the corner, something like this, and you'll be alive. But the issue is black is also going to be quite strong and in good shape. I didn't really want to give black this much thickness. That's all.
Okay.
So I'm much more gunning for, let's say, like, if black plays some kind of pincer, I want to have the ability to either get in now, so I have that Aji, or I can get something around here in the future if I fight, right? So make something like fighting more attractive. I have strong stone here I can use. It's got a natural follow-up. It can come up at A and then press at B. So I'm already thinking about how I can link the fact that black is very, very low and thin on the right to coordinate with this bottom left.
If the bottom is small, wouldn't black not pincer?
Sure, but then if black gets concentrated in the corner and I start attacking at A, the bottom becomes bigger and I already have an extension. So the board is always dynamically changing. It's small now, but the way that black answers, the bottom left and the right side may make the bottom quite attractive for white. Right? So because of these right side issues, there's a small degree of interest, but it's not something that white would ever build in Gote. Like I would only go for the bottom if I could get most of it surrounded by attacking the corners.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. This is helpful to me because you went this way. When I see this outcome, I'm thinking, hey, black's got a cut. I'm getting the corner for free. And I'd probably do it this way. So now he has two problems. And instead you're going, oh, black's getting so thick. Black has two problems. So I still have a hard time understanding that. Fix here, I'm not even sure why that would be. Man, I don't know.
Yeah, so here if we cut just Atari Connect. There's too many liberties for too many liberties on the black stick.
Oh, I would be so happy. I'd feel like he can't kill me on the left, and I've got him in trouble everywhere. This is where I get in trouble. I have a hard time seeing what you're seeing. Any help for me?
That's a good question. I've gotten into these positions a lot and been punished a lot for it. So the best help I could say is get punished a lot for it.
Yeah.
That'll be the fastest way to learn it. It's just I know the rule of thumb that I've found is that 5 liberties tends to be a sweet spot to call a group thick. And when white cuts that black stick, black has 5 liberties. So that means I won't be able to bother it at all, actually.
Okay. Now I'm trying to understand why I haven't had luck with this. I keep thinking 2 weak groups. A's not a weak group. He's got a whole bunch of liberties, and he's going to have an easy time of it. Okay. Now, let's just do one more thing here. Sorry for all my questions.
Please keep asking.
We're still alive. But now his 5 liberty group has an extra problem.
Yeah.
But still you're saying it's just fine.
Right, because white has to create bigger problems than black's problem to attack it. The issue
even if it looks like this, it's just okay, so it's just nothing.
Yeah. Like white maybe can use it later, but it's like black will just fix the bigger problem, which is F3, and then for white to cut damages the left side. So it's hard to do it. Like if we're gonna give black a strong shape facing out, that's why I want to have an Aji stone at F3, because it makes
this a better move. You're more prepared for that wall. Nice. Quite recently, you and I had a private session where we kept saying, man, Lance is so interested in territory. He keeps forgetting about thickness and groups. Yeah. Okay. I think that was helpful.
Alrighty. So I did go for the pincer. Yes, I'm in the same camp as you, George. I'm going to go ahead and play the 3-3 now. And we'll see how it changes things.
I assume
push up. Yep. And then we'll see if it decides to extend. I'm sure it's going to, but it's CrazyStone. You never know.
I'm making assumptions here.
Yep. This is entirely good assumptions to make. It should play F2. It did not play F2. Yeah. So far, it's done a better job of keeping the game more or less even this time. But now the position's getting a little bit more interesting, I think, on the bottom. In this case, I'm going to cut.
Okay. That's cheating. We just looked at this.
Yep.
Black's got all this thickness on the group. The other one was just Honey and Connect.
Yep.
What in the world is the difference? I'm giving you control. You better have a good answer because that's confusing.
Yeah, so I had a feeling you were going to stop me here. Yeah, so the difference is after the push and cut happens, I have this move, and before I didn't have this. So once we come down F2, the only thing black can really do is get out to the center. It's going to be F5 or F4. And then if it plays like this, the liberties disappear very, very fast for the black group. So instead of being a 5 liberty stick that we can't attack, it's looking more like it's going to end up being something closer to a 3 liberty dumpling.
Okay.
So the shorthand answer is I cheated by reading.
Okay. So black has an extra problem because he didn't play F2.
Right. And this is why I said black should, way back here, black should play F2 because the Aji is actually a lot better for black in this type of situation. Because now if we get the cut,
he can sacrifice the bottom.
Yeah, we can sacrifice the bottom. Exactly. Now, like this type of thing is not so much a concern. We can even bump, or we can go this way and force white to take these stones. You always have the choice of which sacrifice you want. But now, if it looks like this one's looking quite bad for white.
Yeah.
But so that difference, it does make a difference. I know your lesson with the pro sort of touched on that. This one's almost objectively better in most cases.
Yeah.
And E3 here is just actually really bad Aji. It's been well documented Aji for years. This Aji today is really good for shrinking black's liberties, which is why in this case it's possible for white to cut when white couldn't cut before. It's hard to see from now because you look at it and you go, wow, black has one more liberty than black had before. How is 6 not better than 5? And the simple answer is because it's actually 3.
Yeah. Okay. Last thing, instead of get back to white F2.
You have control. Yeah, I passed it back.
We did this and this and this. Now where?
So you can play the Hane below. That one's also fine. Just 1 space jump up. You could Atari, I guess.
So you're saying here?
Just F5. Yeah. And now instead of being able to counterattack at F6 like the thickness would like to do and cut the white thin shape, black had to play a Gote move on the second line to link up. And white's prepared to sacrifice F3, got value. So now we can play something like, there's a couple different moves I'm thinking of. We could play the B9 extension and ask questions against the 4 stones, or we can sure up the center with F8 and start attacking the 4 stones. Both of them look like they're okay moves.
Okay, so you're saying if white goes and does whatever, this is incredibly slow and yes, black just lived, but who cares about that? Okay.
If we consider that black was supposed to be strong here and able to counterattack the cut, that's a pitiful result for black, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Connecting
and
under
that
on the
one
first.
is here.
Yep, that one is Hane.
And
Double
probably
Hane.
that way.
Yeah, cut.
And white's just black's getting into shambles here.
Yeah.
Okay, good. All the way back. Boom. Boom. Cut.
Good question. I like that question. It was one of my favorite questions so far.
F2?
Yep. F2. Strike while the iron is hot.
That's, you know me, I love the Proverbs. To me, that is so meaningful. If it's there, do it. Do it now before it goes away.
Yeah.
And you had played
G4.
That one.
And it goes for the cut. Yeah, so cut makes a lot of sense here, Atari. And then if it connects, we'll connect underneath at E1.
Okay, so black has become really quite poor here.
Yep, like black's only real saving grace at this point looks like maybe sack the dumpling and try to surround the left side. But it's going to be very easy with that B16 exchange for white to get at least a ko.
Yeah.
So another benefit, George, of playing that Hane.
Yeah. Good
Sure.
point. Yeah.
Now, I didn't see the Ko. I don't even technically see a Ko now. It's just the fact that I could play B14 and he can Atari, and it's a Ko at worst.
Right.
But it's
So
the fact
if
that
you
we sort of,
somehow,
yeah, it's the fact that we just sort of have this resource in our pocket means it's going to be very hard for white to die here.
okay. So when I ask myself the question, how did we get this 3-don to look like a fool? Well, one, it's subtle, but B16 is not, I mean, it's subtle, but it's a big part. And then black made a big mistake with this. That's not a small mistake.
Nope.
That means the cut becomes meaningful, and we punish the mistake.
Yep. I would even go so far as to say black was also inaccurate at H3. In this situation, black playing the pincer was kind of weird direction of play.
Yeah. What would your suggestion be for black here?
If black was to answer this one locally,
Yeah.
honestly, I'd probably just descend at D3 and be thick in the corner. If I was looking to answer white, like if I was playing black in this situation and looking at the whole board, as I usually try to do, my response to F3 by black would be D12. Pretty much, I would ignore F3 and just attach on the left.
Your favorite move?
Yeah.
Could you show me? I'm missing.
Sure. So I would just go here now.
So what question are you asking by playing there?
Why would we?
Lance?
Let's ask another question.
Lance?
Why?
I just
What's I don't get the goal here. There's many questions to ask.
Lance, can you hear me?
So there's a little bit of meta analysis in this because I know why I played F3, right? So I'm aware of the fact that I have gaps around C5, D6, B5, 3-3, all that. There's a lot of gaps. I can't close them all in one move. Not effectively anyway. There's going to be things I'm going to have to answer later. So in my mind, D12 is an interesting question because whatever happens on the left is going to affect this corner pretty much more so than any question anywhere else on the board is going to affect this corner. And it can affect it in a positive way or it can affect it in a not positive way, depending on how committed I decide to get to D12. But the idea is D12 asks white a very simple question. Which side do you think you're weaker on? The C9 side or the C15 side? If white answers towards the C15 side, for whatever reason, I have more leverage against C9 and white's follow-up around the corner is less powerful. If white...
Yeah, I need to catch up. You said a lot there.
Yeah.
Okay. If I was going to try to restate that, as black, sure, this is possible, but I'm not entirely convinced. There's so many so many things I don't know what to do. This is going to tell me a more efficient and proper way of dealing with my corner.
Yep.
Okay, so let's assume this for now.
Okay.
And let's see your plan play out.
Okay.
So
with this Hane, I was thinking between both Hanes, which one I like better. I'm gonna go ahead and Hane at C13.
And save.
Connect, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've got your answer.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore,
Knight's move, E8.
D.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay. That's over my head. You're saying what this is what I hear you saying.
Not quite. I could cut. Cutting is one move. I can also push and then peep and then chase.
Wow, you're saying that white group is weak.
Mm-hmm.
That's hard for me.
I don't
He's
see two
out,
eyes
he
yet.
has a great base.
I don't see two eyes yet.
I see pretty gosh darn close to two eyes,
Yeah, but they're not there yet.
thick and strong, while you, on the other hand, have this. What are you going to do?
Cut it. Okay, extend back.
This way?
Yep. And now in the
And
course of
left.
fighting, I've naturally answered F3. Attach on top. F4.
Okay, so wow, that's hard. Okay, we are still looking. We've had a partial answer, and we're still dissatisfied. What can we do other than this boring nothing move?
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's pressure white, which is dealing with our corner in a positive way,
Mm-hmm.
and saying, yeah, go right ahead and do it. That's fine. Yeah, we're good. And then I'll just come out and you have problems everywhere. Wow.
Yep.
I have never done that my whole life, gone through with a plan like that.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Yeah, it's
I've
just.
asked plenty of questions and it's helped, but I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say it's just I can't bring myself to play moves I don't like these days. And for me, I mean, yeah, there's any number of moves Black could play that fix the corner, but I'm gonna put "fix" in quotes. But none of them look like they have any meaningful follow-ups, right? So this is a situation where it's like I can defend the corner, but I would rather not spend a move to do it. So how do I then defend the corner without spending the move? I
Okay.
need to make him pay for it.
That's the first time I've understood this. Okay. So now I think I can start putting it in a language I understand. Like Chris, I hate this move. I'm just like, man, I'd rather play away. So I'm going to play. I can't find one. I'm going to play away. I don't feel comfortable playing away either.
Mm.
That's where I would start to catch up with your move. Maybe I'll just play this. Well, ask him to take the bottom. Yeah, maybe. But wait a minute. He's got a funny group over there. Hey, he's got oh man, this is interesting. I would arrive there if I thought, and this is something that strong players go through right around 3 dawn, 4 dawn, is I refuse to play a move that I don't like. And then all of a sudden they stop playing these moves that keep them in the lower dawns and they go, I don't know what this does, but it helps and bothers him.
Yep.
It's got to produce something.
Mm-hmm.
That's as far as I get in the plan, and that gets me pretty far.
Yeah, because that helps you solve the starting point, right? Like, what's the nearest thing nearby I can use to make F3 look silly? And then I remember from the very beginning of the game, I even said as white, D12, etc. moves are all Black's right. Black can play them whenever Black wants, and White's probably going to answer. Like, it's a situation where in most cases, because I played this way, I have to accept it. So that's a great defensive resource to keep in mind when the opponent's trying to bother you. And just yeah.
Okay, no, this is great. In my mind, it's how am I going to explain this rather complex thing to my students? Because they're going to be in this situation and they're going to play here, and I go, yeah, it works. How do you feel about that? Well, I don't really like it. Okay, what would you like? I can't think of anything. Is there anything nearby? Just And there's a proverb: when you don't know what to play, play your sente.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a proverb that's helped me a lot. I go, "Would you got any sente nearby?" We got this one. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh-huh. Any others? Well, this, but that's not even nearby.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's forcing. You're
Mm-hmm.
going to get information.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yep.
I could walk them through this, and they go, "I okay. I'm only here for information.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Wow." They would, yeah, I could walk them through it. Okay, good. That was hard for me to get to understand that on a simple level.
Yeah, it's not a simple move
Yeah,
until it becomes intuitive, and then you find it a lot. But like, it's a big step, I think, to get intuitive for moves like this.
yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, that's it on the really hard question. That's
Mm-hmm.
it, I think, on the game, wherever
Yeah,
the
we
game
only
went.
spent
Yeah.
28 minutes.
Say it again.
I said we only used 28 minutes this time.
Yeah. Um, how about,
Mm-hmm.
since we have extra time, how about you show us something? Maybe it's a Joseki, maybe it's a middle game Joseki, maybe
Mm,
anything on your mind that you think, well, a lot of people don't know this.
um, I could think of a few different modern ones.
Show us something. This is just a little
Um,
extra to use up some time.
yeah, one of the sort of patterns I see that comes up a lot these days happens to involve this type of enclosure. This is more popular for players that like thickness. And a lot of questions that I tend to get is what's a good way to handle it? So if I just make like an opening really quick, just say this one, approach this, and maybe let's say white goes here and black jumps, something dynamic like this. How to deal with wide positions that develop when black has a really strong corner.
Mm-hmm.
The most common move that I see, and I can't say it's a mistake, obviously, is something like this.
Uh-huh.
But the problem that a lot of, at least my students get into, is that they get pincered and they have no idea where to go next. And there's so many different options for white. I could tell them, well, you've got 60 different things you can do on this board. It's not actually helpful to them. So maybe we can talk about a more helpful way to think about it.
Uh-huh.
So the solution that I found to this issue, and it's been corroborated by our overlord, has been when you want to play in your opponent's strong area, it's often best to reach compromise quickly. So what's the best move that can reach compromise quickly?
16. Yeah.
Attach. And then this one is really scary because then they get into this one and they have no idea where to go when black resists. But I find it's a useful Joseki even in a vacuum to study because it teaches a lot of important concepts like sacrifice, which is another one that people have a hard time grasping. I actually just talked to a 4Q about this yesterday. When do you know how to sacrifice stones? And the answer that I've sort of arrived at is, well, if they're inside stones, they're usually the first candidate to get rid of. So the triangled stones are on the inside, they're surrounded by the opponent. The square stones are on the outside, they have access to the center. If I'm more likely to save a group, I'm more likely to save the outside stones than the inside stones. They can do more work across the whole board. They influence everything else. Inside stones, if they live, it affects territory, usually not much else besides that.
Okay.
So then we think about sort of how do we do it? Like simplifying these sort of complex situations. You think that would be worthwhile talking about?
Please.
Yeah. And so oftentimes, as long as we can figure out what the objective is, even from the very beginning, we can find a simple route to go forward. So when we look at 016, what's the point? The point is if we play close, we get attacked. We don't really want to get attacked. It's black strong area. It's hard to find a next move, all these reasons. So we ask a direct question and we know he's going to give us a direct answer. If he doesn't give us a direct answer, we give him a direct answer and it's very easy to live. Okay. So that's sort of the prerequisite, right? He can block the corner, but then we've got all the space. We can make a base, do whatever we need to do. I mean, heck, we could probably even just do this and live locally. So black is going to answer. And then it's, again, that same thing we looked at on the left, just keep asking questions, follow the thread.
With you so far?
Right. If black cuts, we save the cutting stone, right? And now it only starts to get tricky when this fighting shape is involved and black has, A, B, C, and D. If black plays A, that's the simplest one. We can read the ladder. Every Q player, I think, at 15Q solves problems, between 15 and 10Q, they sort of learn this. And so usually black's not going to play it. So then we look at the other move that I think I see Q players play the most often, which is see Atari, play Atari. They play this one. And it used to be considered that in cutting shapes, this combination of 1 and 2 is usually bad. Pushing from behind, Atariing the cutting stone, all those other proverbs that we violate by doing it. Here it's a bit harder to say if it's going to be bad or not, because black can push from the corner. But taking the push aside, if black connects, it's still the same problem. Black is going to lose the stones like this, but we're going to take the top. He's going to take the right, like Hendon Sente, by attacking 2 stones. Nice and easy. If black pushes, it's a little bit trickier for white, but there is a pattern white can play that makes it really hard for black. This is a useful one. We don't cut first, we turn. Black usually only has extension as the main move that black will normally consider, and then here white can go cut extend.
And then we're back with the ladder again.
Yeah, so now it just becomes the same trade. And so the biggest thing for me, and maybe you can help with it, is how do I simplify this for someone? For me, it all makes sense. The patterns are there. I know that they're there. I've seen them 100 times. I've internalized it. Imagine I'm teaching this to you, George. How do I explain this in a way you understand?
That's a good question. I don't know. I know
George, you're muted.
you can't hear me. I had some.
Since he's not talking, let me take a crack at it. I would say we're looking for options. Therefore, the Hane. There's cuts. There's so many things I can do. I mean, we have options, and that was our goal. Okay.
Yeah.
Options are about to leave. Save your stone. Now the options are back. And things are about to clarify. If we can maintain our options, we want to try. Is it Sente? Oh yeah, he's dead next move. So we've saved all our stones from immediate death, and we got options galore. Yeah, and then they ask the question every time, but I don't know what's going to happen next. I can't read it out. Yeah, join the club. Or if you're lucky, go join Chris's club where he can read it out. It's like, well, but what's going to happen? I don't know. But that's the starting point. Okay, what do you do? Well, I don't see I can do this. Yeah. That's about it. Okay, I got some thinkers. And they do this, right? It's like,
yeah,
okay, you got something and it's clear and okay.
It achieved the goal, more or less.
But what if you were to save again? It's a little bit of reading, and that's when the pattern comes in. And the patterns are so easy. We see it all the time. But it's hard to recognize in other situations. Yeah, it's a pretty cool little trick. Yeah, nice little trick. So that's all. That's the best I've been able to come up with is keep options open, keep options open.
Yeah,
look
that makes sense because you're the light one here. You should not be afraid of sacrificing some stones to destroy the opponent's area.
Good one. You're the light one.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid of sacrifice. Good.
It's like I've also heard it phrased as like for black to fight locally like this in his strong area is kind of like stepping on Legos or tripping on marbles. Black would like to move quickly and attack with precision, but it's hard for black to play those moves when black has to do this dance with white to avoid spikes on the floor.
Yeah.
Right? It's hard to generate power.
Yeah. In this situation, it's hard to say black's in control. But in this situation, black's in control.
Right. That's, I think for 1 to 3 Don, it's a big difference, right? Because like a 3 Don can play N17, I have no doubt it's not going to die. But that's not the point, right? The difference between the two moves is in the severity of black's response. N17 gets pretty severely attacked. It doesn't have a base, it doesn't have eyes, it does not have super uncontested access to the center black's already elevated. Can white settle, get out, do whatever white needs to do? Sure, but it's going to be a problem for a long time. It's not something that's going to be immediately solved in the local skirmish. Whereas 016 is much more likely to yield something locally settled.
Yeah.
That white doesn't have to pay dividends to black for.
Yeah.
You know,
and
playing
the proverb, when you want to settle in your opponent's area, make a contact move. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the basis for Sabaki in a lot of times too, because I'll hear players be like, I'm playing N17 to practice Sabaki. That's not a Sabaki move. That's
right.
You know, like you can make a light shape with it, but a lot of your ability to play that shape is like what people don't realize is like there's levels to Sabaki, right? Like when you're first learning Sabaki, it's just about sprinkling a couple of stones in the opponent's area and hope they make something, you know, the very bare bones basics. But at the highest levels, when your opponents are doing like these Sabaki, like these pros are doing Sabaki technique, they're not even looking at the local area anymore. Like white is saying, okay, I'm going to Sabaki the top, but in his mind, he's already thinking about how that group is going to attack the bottom and break the right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And so many of us,
you know, and so it's really hard to do that. And I think a lot of like the lower Don students that I have get in trouble with Joseki moves like this. How do I handle big areas with strong stones? How do I know when to invade at N17 or when to contact 016?
Yeah, very tough.
You know, and that would probably be, I think, for that level, the most beneficial thing I could go over, because that's the one I get asked the most. And I could set up 100 variations, 100 different things to show it, but I think the clarity of your explanation was really the good thing there.
Okay. Last question. We looked at this.
Yeah.
How would you attack next as black?
On this board?
Yeah.
So there's a couple of different options. I know that's not really a useful answer. I have to consider both for a second. The two moves I'm thinking of are kick and the press at 014 directly. So I'm just seeing if there's actually any like meaningful merit to kicking here. I mean, it closes off some of the corner, but I don't know if I'm particularly concerned about closing off the corner on this board, to be honest. L15 is also attractive. I don't have a stone on the right yet, so if white starts going that direction, I don't actually care. He's not really breaking anything. Maybe I do C. I like C. C's a nice box.
Okay. So if we're talking about a mid-range Don player, you would say all three of these are fine.
I think given all of them, my order of preference would be C, A, B. I like B more when the bottom right is thick or the right side has a stone. Black can do something productive there. Without a stone, going for the side is a bit open.
So now you might go this way.
Yeah, something like that, right? A is just generally considered to be like a locally good move most of the time if you're trying to keep white off a base. But the problem is on this board, when white is out, it's not Sente. So white can do any number of things to answer A. White doesn't have to just descend or bump. So it looks like the one that keeps the most pressure on white in a productive way is C to me. This removes a lot of the Aji at J17 by getting more elevation to the center. Now if white comes in, we're already ahead of him on both sides. And the two stones still need a base for white. And white has to get that base against black's thick corner.
Let's play just a little bit here. What are you going to do?
Okay. So two directions I can think of. We can block the corner, or we can play from center. I think we block the corner. There's two ways to block the corner. There's like the R18 sort of classic shape, and then there's Q17, which is my preferred one. I like to be more thick. This is fine. And then white's out. It's all okay. Black is quite strong on the corner. Black is quite strong on the top.
So just play away now.
Yeah, I was thinking like G4 or C6. Maybe even O3 is fine. So here's like a big, so C6 and O3 would be the other two I would look at.
C6, O3 for black. Okay.
Yeah. These are different sort of strategies, right? Like A is sort of long-term looking at N13. White is out and not particularly interested in playing a move around R13 yet. But later black can play O14 and then P12 to continue attacking. And it's useful to have influence at A if we're going to chase white that way. C is just it's the last unfinished corner. Both players are kind of looking at the bottom right, wondering who's going to get there first, and black has the first chance to do that now. It would sort of maintain the tension on the board in a way where like white still has the weak group problem, but it's out, so white's going to leave it, and then both sides can build and their areas and whatnot.
So white entered the top with his D group, came out and is certainly healthy enough for the moment.
Yep.
On the other hand, black got a very attractive area 1. Pretty strong corner at 2 and Sente. So that sounds like black. Well, black was supposed to gain since that was a black area. Is it even? You think white's ahead?
I don't think white's ahead. I think the game's even.
So this is very playable.
Yeah, I think that's always the fear with a lot of people is that if white just gets out like this, white's going to be better because they don't really value what black got. But long term, black's position is better than white's. So as long as black makes use of it, it should be easy.
Okay, good. Well, thanks, Chris. That was insightful, helpful. We really appreciate your time.
Yeah, I wish I had more prepared for the second half.
The
was on the
more
spot.
I play with you, the more I realize, oh, he's not just strong, he's very strong. I didn't know that at first. I go, okay, he's really strong. Oh, wait a minute, he's really strong.
Actually, if I was thinking about it more, I probably would have offered to pull up the game with Tony. I think there's a lot more useful middle game Joseki and just good solid middle game ideas in that game. And the game was simple enough.
Of looking at that next time.
Yeah,
I'll have a million questions.
Yeah, the game was simple enough. The thing I like about the Yang brothers is that they have a very consistent style. So they play very professionally, which is always nice to see. And like with Kevin, it's interesting because I play him, I don't have a chance. You look at the like the AI graph or whatever, and it tells you like from start to finish he's in control. He never loses it. But it's always by the smallest margin, 1 to 2 points. And it just never deviates. That's a level of consistency that just astonishes me. Tony is a little bit more wild in that I almost killed him in this last game. Whereas I don't usually get those chances. But even then, his overall play style is very consistent, like his brothers.
Well, let's make a plan next week if we're all here.